to the next. So if you are ready to declutter or downsize, and that's why you're here today, there are some reasons that you would want to do that. One is a lifestyle reason that you just want your personal property to be very decluttered, and it seems to bring in a sense of peace when you do that, because it's just everything is much more clean, simplified, and pleasant. It does lift your spirits when, number one, you can find what you're looking for, and when things are aesthetically calming. Also, you'll have to pick up things less, so you'll have more time to do more fun things. Now, another element of decluttering and downsizing is liquidation. So what that means is getting rid of things that you no longer need. Sometimes those are everyday items, and sometimes those are valuables, like when you see Antique Roadshow and someone is selling some priceless artwork or a signed baseball or something like that. But part of liquidation is also donations. So we're going to talk about who accepts what and how you can move things along. And then you need to think about your timetable. So if you're taking notes, write down timetable and set down a goal for the project that you have in mind. If your parents are moving to a senior community as of a certain date, we have clients that have moved their parents and then they've held on to that house for 1 year, 2 years. One of our clients has had a home of her parents for 5 years, and she has not completed the downsizing process. You don't want to be carrying all those costs like that. So set a limit, and then we'll back into a plan that would allow you to accomplish your goal. November is downsizing month. All right. Similarities between decluttering and downsizing. Decluttering can be an ongoing process that just you keep a program and process to maintain your decluttered space. One adage that I don't always go by, but I wish I did, is if I buy a new coat, then the old coat that I'm not going to be using, can I donate that to Goodwill or Salvation Army or something? So kind of one item in, one item out. That is something that professional organizers do recommend. I prefer that kind of method to the method where I'm sure you've seen the extreme downsizers, and they will only allow themselves one coat and one pair of boots. And you've seen these folks. It's extreme minimalism. So if you're into that, I don't know that we're really aiming for that. That would be an extreme thing. And there are some folks on YouTube that specialize in that kind of lifestyle. So how did we get things overly cluttered? Basically, QVC and online shopping and Amazon makes it so easy for us to just keep accepting new things. And are we then putting equal things in our donation basket and taking it on the weekend? I don't think so. We're really not doing that. So we need to make a more mindful, decision to do that. The other thing that is happening is we tend to have large storage in our homes. So a basement or a large garage, or some people even rent storage space and put things in there. So we just aren't really limited on space. I know Anna is in London, and you may or may not have a lot of storage space. I don't know. But once we run out of space, that's when we decide we need to declutter and get this under control. All right. So here's a few philosophies. Does it spark joy? If this is for your own personal house and you're going through sweaters, let's say, and who doesn't have a lot of sweaters? Well, we're in Michigan, so we personally do have a lot of sweaters. But You need to look at that sweater, and maybe it was a great sweater at one time, but you have to think to yourself, does it fit my current lifestyle? This is a ski sweater. Am I still skiing? This is a sweater with sequins on it. Can I use that for a special event that I'm going to? If you're starting to not be able to match that sweater with at least 3 to 5 things in your wardrobe, then that should go most likely in your donate pile, where it's going to go to someone who can get joy out of that sweater, because you're really not finding a good use for it and it's not sparking joy for you. Now, the second filter that you can use is, does it fit into my new curated lifestyle? So what do I mean by this? What I mean is, if you have a new vision for your space, it may all be centered around your love of plants. And maybe you are setting up an area in your home where your plants can be, and you can have a lovely chair there where you can read, enjoy the sunlight. Your plants will enjoy the sunlight. And you've created this kind of very nice retreat for yourself. When you're going through things, you need to say, does this go with my new sense of place? And if it doesn't, then that needs to go into the donations, or it's moving away from my house. I'm going to show you the way to organize sorting boxes in a minute. And just because I say donate it doesn't mean you have to take it to a charity. It could mean, oh, you have a son or a daughter, and next time they come over, you have bins, and say, hey, in my office, I have a couple bins there of things that I'm planning on donating. Would you look at it first and see if there's anything you would like? And that's a very nice way to see if your family wants anything. And here we are approaching the holidays, and many of us are going to have a lot of family coming to our house. So it's the perfect time to set a goal for 2 bins of things that you know you want to donate after Thanksgiving. All right, curating. This is a property we sold in Detroit in the historic district. And our client was an art collector. And this is a 2nd floor art gallery that she created out of what really amounted to being a hallway. So I want you to think about reclaiming areas of your home. It may be just one little area that has built-in bookshelves, but it could become an area where you put all your family photographs and your special sentimental items that maybe were passed down to you and are an heirloom from your grandparents, that kind of thing. It doesn't have to be this grand, but it could be a very mindful place that you really pay respect to your family. So first, we're going to talk about getting a plan. So I believe that any plan is written on paper. So you could either just have a notebook, 3-ring notebook, and college ruled paper. That to me is the most flexible way, because you could have dividers in there. You could have timelines. You can really start to put your plan together. You could have a calendar page month to month. This week, I'm going to focus on my pantry. Next week, I'm going to move to my kitchen island. The week after that, I'm going to go through all my servers and my serving items, my platters. It can be that easy. Just one topic, one space every single week. But the key is have those bins so you can then take it to someone who needs it after you're finished. So we're going to see here that you need to possibly inventory some things, but you definitely need to sort if you're ready to let go. And then the third phase is, after you've sorted and maybe have those bins, you need to distribute them. So you need to figure out, what can I sell and what can I give away or donate? And we're going to talk about all of those options. So now I'm taking you into a case study. This is a property that my team worked on 2 weeks ago. And on the left-hand side, you're going to see the before picture of the living room. The fireplace is straight ahead. When you shift to the right, you're going to see the after. So what are we noticing in this space? Well, for one thing, I can tell you the same family owned this property since 1921. So the parents owned it, and then the daughter moved into the home and finished her life in this property. So for 100 years, this house, the neighbors told me, the furniture was the same. Things came in, but nothing went out. So it was our job to organize the home in a way so that a young couple or a buyer would be able to see, oh, wow, I could live in this property. But I don't think if they saw this first picture, they would have spent very long in the home looking around. This is a closet that is on the main level, and this is how it was left, just kind of a messy coat closet. And then we cleaned it out, and we noticed, oh my gosh, there's all kinds of games back here, and look at these great hardwood floors. And when we measured the width of this, we realized this closet could be converted into one of those Martha Stewart walk-in pantries. And it could be used to put your extra Costco things in there or your canned goods. The kitchen in a 1921 home, as you know, is not very large, maybe 12 by 11. So this would be a very cool feature. But when it looks like that messy closet, I don't think many buyers would have ever thought, wow, this is a real cool nook I could use. Now, this is the first floor office. And no joke, there is an organ on the left-hand wall, a desk straight forward. On the right was another desk, and then just stacks of things all the way around the edge. So we took out 2 or 3 lower bureaus and desks, and we removed those. And now what we're left with is an organ, which is, as you know, too heavy really to move, and the large scale desk. And then behind the door, we found a closet no one even knew was there because there was so much stuff all over the place. And we tidied up the closet. So now we went from having 3 bedrooms upstairs and what appeared to be an office only. It has a closet. So it could also function as a guest room. So that was kind of a find. It's amazing when you strip back the clutter that you can find new purposes or uses and function. All right, this is a view on the left from the kitchen looking towards the living room, and where that green couch is actually the dining room. I don't think many people would have known that that could be a dining room, or in our picture, as you can see, could be an extension of the kitchen. So as we're marketing this house, we put the dining table in the dining room and the hutches in the dining room, but you have clear view to the kitchen. I've had so many people say to me, oh my gosh, if I knock down this wall, that could become an amazingly modernized, cool eat-in kitchen with an island. So again, this decluttering, downsizing, etc., it not only creates a really pleasant space for yourself, but it also creates value that other people can see. And it does raise your property value because of that. All right, here is the kitchen before, and here's the kitchen after. And I think all of us would be afraid to cook in the kitchen on the left, and on the right, it seems pretty retro and cool. On the left is the way the upstairs main bedroom looked, and then afterwards, how it looked. All right, so before we jump into how to sort and all of those methodologies, I'm just quickly going to bring up professional inventories which are sometimes helpful prior to an estate sale. There are personal property appraisers that you can hire that will go through a property and they will photograph it to document it. Sometimes people need these for insurance purposes, or they will photograph it and share the photographs with subject matter experts that they have within their auction house across the country. And those subject matter experts will then tell us whether a certain oil painting has great value and would get $10,000, $25,000 at auction, or if it's a replica, or if it's by an unknown artist and really just has estate sale value. But having one of these professional appraisals could be helpful if you are working with antiques or things that might have extraordinary value, but we're unsure. So first edition books that are leather bound, we found many of those in the house that we just saw. The date was 1861. And so we wondered if these first editions were very valuable. And so that was sent off. There were also Tigers autographed baseballs, a whole collection of those, autographed pencil drawings of famous Tigers players. And all of these things were documented and sent off. In the end, in the house that we just saw, they said that the paintings were by a local artist, that her paintings had never been sold at auction before. So it was estate sale quality, but not auction quality. And they said that there was one antique piece that was worth $1,000. But otherwise, everything in that house, it was old, but it wasn't historically significant. So when you watch Antiques Roadshow, it's very similar to having one of those appraisers come in, and this would be the subject matter expert who specializes in that category: watches, collections, coins, etc. So hopefully you're kind of getting an idea of how you could use some of these professionals to assess value of your tangibles. All right, for downsizing, this is the way that we recommend setting up your bins for sorting. So I'm just going to pause on this slide for a minute so you guys can write down these categories. When we're going through a property, there are certain things that you're going to want to keep. So earlier, one of our workshop guests was talking about sentimental items and legal documents and financial documents as being the toughest things to really sort through. What I would say is to have a keep box where very easily you can go there and catalog all of those items. If it were me, I would have two keep boxes. I would say sentimentals, keep, and then I would say documents, keep. And the documents aren't necessarily all going to be kept, because once you start sorting through that box, you will see, is it older than 7 years old? And you'll check with your CPA. Your CPA may advise you any tax documents or receipts or statements 7 years older or older, you can shred. So this is why I'm saying just put them in that box just so you can get them, the clutter, where it needs to go. But then when you sort through, you'll have your advice from your CPA and you'll know what you can actually shred. We're going to talk about shredding, and there is a free shredding program in our area. I'm going to share that with you as well. Obviously, recycle. There are some things like even cookie sheets and old pots and pans and things that the metal is valuable, and you can scrap recycle that. If you have a garage that has all kinds of scrap metal, We just sold a property in South Lyon with a 40 by 23-foot pole barn, and the owner was a huge car enthusiast, found all kinds of scrap metal, and that can be taken, and per pound, they will give you money for it. Just like cash for gold, they'll give you cash for that. So remember that. There's going to be recyclables. You're going to just plain have trash. We recommend those huge trash bags from Home Depot. Get the ones that say contractor grade. They come in a box. They are super thick. You will not cut through them no matter how much you stuff them. Be mindful how heavy you make them because you do need to move them around. All right, so this is another thing. Let's say you don't have cardboard boxes, but you have some laundry hampers, some bins, some extra garbage. No problem. Just put a Post-it note or a piece of paper with your label on it. Let's not overthink it. Let's just get it going. Now, family heirlooms. We have a client who had the stickly furniture for the dining set. And they spent quite an amount of money on it originally. And their wish throughout their lives were that one of their son or their daughter would want this set. But the stickly, although it's lovely, it wasn't their style. So in the end, they ended up moving down to Nashville. They said, you know what we're going to do? We're going to move the table and we're going to use it as kind of our gathering table. But the chairs we have no use of. So they sold the chairs and they just kept the table because it had sentimental value to them. But I want to show you how this specific family, they were cataloging their family photos. They bought one of those Epson high-speed scanners. And the husband was retired and he decided he wanted to take on that project himself. So he was scanning them and then he was loading the scans into his computer and he was renaming the photos. Instead of saying IMG 123, he would rename it and it would say Colorado 2015, whatever. If it was a vacation, a ski trip, whatever, that's what they were doing. Or Susie's wedding and the date. That way he had a digital file of all the photos. And once he had them in folders, he was able to get rid of the hard photos because he had duplicates in any framed things that he wanted. And that's how he did it. That is very, very time consuming. This service, legacybox.com, can be used and you mail off the photos. They scan it for you and send the files back to you. So that's one service. And if this is something that you're interested in also, I have two contacts who are professional photo scanners, digitizers. And they're both really wonderful. So depending on what you need, if you want to outsource it, I could give you their two names and you could get quotes for that. All right. What are we going to do with the recycling? Well, every week we can put our recycling to the curb, which is great. But there's more than just that kind of recycling that we're going to come across. We're going to come across papers that need to be shred. And we're going to have clothing and shoes, and we're going to have small household items. Now, this household hazardous waste, I'm showing you a card here that shows where these drop-offs are and how much you can drop off. So it's saying that you can drop off up to 100 pounds of paper shredding at this local event. That is a lot of weight. So if you will go and Google RRRASOC, Novi is a member of that collaboration. And I believe our center that's closest to us is in Livonia, if I'm not mistaken. So go to there and find out. But it looks to me like they're taking this clothing, shoes, and small accessories at the simple recycling location. Also, if you find oil, antifreeze, that kind of stuff in your garage, and you want to drop that off, you need to contact ERG, Environmental Services. And here's the contact info where you can get all of that information. But they do have drop-off times, and you can literally take the items there and drop them off. All right. So we have in Novi a free drop-off to dispose of magazines, newspapers, small scrap metal, and the pots and pans I told you about. And that location, it's saying here, this is the exact address for it, 26300 Lee Begole Drive in Novi. I've done this before. It's great when you have a whole carload and they have big dumpsters there, and you can walk up these little ramps they have, and you just throw in your items. Now, let's say you're doing a whole house clean up or clean out. I strongly recommend thinking about getting a dumpster. If it's a whole house event and you're really going to have a large crew there to get things done. So we're not talking about one room to another room. We're talking about the whole house. We recently had a 30-yard dumpster at one of our 3,000 square feet homes with a 3,000 square feet basement and that pole barn. And the cost to have it, it was on rubber wheels, so it would not hurt the driveway. That's something to consider. If you get the kind of dumpster that's shown in the slide, sometimes they're too heavy and they're not driveway friendly, and you do not want to crack your driveway. So I have a contact for a service that has rubber wheel trailers. They will pull into your driveway. It does not harm your driveway. And I'm just going to give you a quote. We just paid $575 for a 30-yard dumpster, and we had it for a full week. So it wasn't just a short weekend. We had it for a full week. Now, what about a full service approach to doing a clean out? Like what I showed you that we've been doing in our properties. If we're listing a property, we don't want it to be 100% vacant. So if we can declutter and keep it so that it looks occupied or staged, or function is assigned to each space, we will do that, because a unoccupied home, completely vacant, empty home on the market generally will sell for 5% less. So we do our best to really bring up that quality of the showing experience by doing that. But let's say there's a move and then the house is pending and it's time to clean out the rest of the items because mom and dad have moved into their senior apartment. There is such thing as a clean out service, and Seamless Estate Management, my company, we do that service for our clients, and it involves us ordering the dumpster. We have the labor that gets everything out. Of course, before we do the clean out, we always have the owner sign off that all of their sentimentals and everything important has been removed. But just so you know, there is a full service approach to this process if you're at that stage. All right, so let's talk a minute about where you can donate items. One of my favorites is the Southeastern Michigan Furniture Bank. And this is their, you'll see the direct web addresses right on the slides. They use furnishings to help set up people that are transitioning out of homelessness. so that they have items that they would normally not be able to afford. So I love working with Southeastern Michigan Furniture Bank. If things are gently used, but still in very usable condition, this is a good place for items to be donated. Another thing that why do we have a little puppy on this slide? It's because sometimes you will have a stack of old towels that have rips in them or old blankets that are pilled. And you wouldn't feel good donating those to a person to use, but they can be donated to the Humane Society or to another pet rescue society because they use it to make the beds for the kittens comfortable, and they use them in their practice to even clean up. So think about sending things there if that moves you. All right, we also have on our website a downsizing and donations guide. And if you are interested in us emailing you that guide, which lists many more donation sites and charities, then put your email in the chat. Actually, we already have your email. Just say, yes, I would like it in the chat box. And Amanda will make sure that we send you that ebook at the end of this workshop. But that's going to give you more contact information and more resources. What I'm going to talk about now is what if you find things that you don't want to use, but someone else might want to use it? Like some cute wicker baskets or little side tables that you just don't need it anymore, but it's perfectly good. I want to introduce everyone to the Facebook Marketplace. Raise your hand if you've ever used Facebook Marketplace to sell anything. Okay, so we also have a Facebook Marketplace cheat sheet, and that gives you step-by-step instructions how you can sell an item on Facebook. So if you want that, put it in the chat. Again, we'll send it to you, no problems. It's very simple though. You take a picture of your item, you describe your item, and it's a step-by-step, upload the pictures first. Okay, next, put in the description. What is the price? What is the form of delivery? So when I sell things on Facebook Marketplace, I always do porch pickup, meaning whoever buys my item needs to come to my porch and pick it up. I'm not delivering. I'm not shipping these items across the country. It's not like eBay for me. It's a local exchange. And what I do is I have a basket on my front porch with a lid on it, and I will set out the item after the person has, said that they want to buy this items from me and we have an agreement. I set it on my porch, and my porch kind of has like sides, so you can't see everything on my porch. So it's kind of hidden. And then when they come up there, they just put the cash in the basket and put the lid on. I have not once had somebody take the item and not pay. Plus, through Facebook, if someone did that, you would just say, this is not a good person to work with. Then they get a bad rating. Anyway, people are very honest, I've found. Now, certain other people say, well, I wouldn't want people to come to my house to pick up. So in that case, I've also seen people say, exchange will be at the Novi Police Department, and they will meet in that parking lot at a certain time and exchange money and item. I would prefer, with COVID and so forth, just to be, germ-free. So that's why I do it the way I do it. All right. So estate sales. Estate sales can be a good way to clear clutter if, for instance, your folks have just moved into their own senior living apartment and everything else left in the house you don't want. You've already taken anything you want. And let's say there's lots of extra stuff in the basement, boxes upon boxes, even things in the pantry. There's all kinds of, let's say, paper plates and extra, cutlery that's plastic. You would not think that would sell, but it will. Everything like that does sell. And so an estate sale can be a very good way to move a lot of items without having to donate this, donate that. But there's an important thing you have to remember. To hire an estate sale manager, they are paid on commission. They are looking for a minimum of $10,000 of gross receipts in order to say yes to doing your estate sale. So if some of the finer furnishings have already been moved out and the valuables are still with the family, sometimes it's more difficult than you would think to come up with $10,000. So this means that we have an estate sale manager on our team, and they can come out and they can let you know if it would qualify for an estate sale or not. If it doesn't, then options are a moving sale that the family runs. Also the Facebook Marketplace for the more valuable items, and then a clean out to finish the rest. That's kind of the way it generally goes. Sell off the more valuable things that are remaining, and then moving sale or donations for the rest, and clean out. So I'm always asked, well, once I get it clutter-free, how do I maintain that? So this is, again, a mental process where you are very deliberate about what you allow to be in your home, and everything is in its place. Secondly, is that buy one item, remove one item. Ideally, that would be wonderful if we could do that. Another thing is, and I love this, don't buy things that are non-returnable. Buy things that if you get it home and then you it's lackluster, it's not sparking joy once you get it home, make sure you can return it. And buy only things as you need them. And here's another thing I'll layer on to that. If you think you need it, really think if you needed it. And then maybe ask some of your friends if they have one, if you could try it. Like, what's coming to mind is the Instapot craze. I have friends that they say, oh my gosh, this Instapot has saved my life. I love it so much. I'm kind of old school, and I'll use a crock pot. I can get it going in the morning and I'm good with it. And it would require me to really change my cooking habits to switch over to Instapot. I don't know if I have it in me at this point. But if I wanted to try it, I could ask to borrow my friends and just do one recipe in it and see if I even liked it, or if I felt it saved me time or what have you. So test drive what your friends are, raving about. And it may or may not be for you, but at least you didn't buy it. I kind of have a small appliance problem, and, I will buy small appliances because I am very intrigued by them, but that's why I have this workaround that I'm sharing. All right. Other things that help to maintain a sense of wellness and well-being. Simple things: making your bed, tidy up after yourself, do your dishes right after you are finished with them. Don't set them there and let them accumulate. Another idea is to do a little nightly cleanup. So if my husband and I are watching our British baking show, which we love, and when we're finished with that, it's time to go upstairs. We have the dog with us. I fold up all the blankets on the couch and I just leave everything very nice and neat. So the next morning when I come down, there isn't something that's just nagging me that needs to be done. The other thing is you can assign cleanups to different family members. So my son is living with us because of COVID. He's not at university. He's living here and commuting back and forth. And we realized he would leave in the morning and the dishwasher was full every morning. So we started to say, set your alarm 15 minutes early, because this is going to be your chore to unload the dishwasher. That way throughout the day, dishes can go straight into the dishwasher and everything stays tidy and clean in the kitchen. If you want to stay up to date with any of our other events that we're having, feel free to visit our Seamlessly Sold website. Also, we have a drop down on there called Books and Guides. That's where you're going to find the downsizing and donations guide. We also have a home selling planner. We have many articles that I've written for the Law Journal about decluttering, keeping homes safe when no one's living in them, things like that. So those resources are all